it's Josh Whitfield with Signal Is. And so today I want to walk you through just how to use probably our most powerful API, which is company signal enrichment. So we're going to kind of start from the beginning. When you get into Signal Is, you can go to the settings menu, you go to connect, and then you're going to grab an API key. If you're going to do this in the MCP, which we'll show in a minute as well, you need to grab your API key first, create an API key, just call it test. You don't need an agent name, production, hit create key, and then we'll copy the key. And from there, right, if we want to connect our MCP, we just put the key right here. If that makes sense. And then now we can copy this. So let's start with connecting the MCP. Come to Claude. It's different in every tool, to be fair. So in Claude, we'll do it here. Go to customize connectors, and then I have it already connected somewhere right there. But let's just add, and actually you can go add a custom connector as well. And you just need that URL. So this is Signal Is functions, Signal Is MCP, and then your API key, right? You can label it Signal Is. I'll just label it Signal Is too. All right, and then you want to come into it, and as you can see, it'll connect to it, right? So that's the first thing, right? That's how you get in the MCP. We'll come back to the MCP in a minute. If you're going to use the API, then a couple of things I want to show you first. So let me get to, actually, I didn't need to do that. So let's go to, let's see, account. Let's see, where is it? It's API docs. And we're looking for custom signal enrichment, right? So here is the API, the curl for it. Here is your post URL. And then here are all the parameters for it. So I want to kind of walk through these parameters. I'll show you as well in Clay. But you're going to need, at minimum, a company name. The domain obviously will make it more accurate on the input, and then what you want, your prompt. And we'll talk about that in just a second. And then these will be your outputs, and the outputs are much more in depth than what you're going to see here. But I want to kind of give you just the sample curl input here, right? And so company name, prompt, and then you'll have some other options here like target signal count, look back days. And so if you're familiar with API documentation, you can take this. The nice thing is we're also in Clay. And so if you go to tools and type in Signal Is, you're going to see the company signal enrichment. Now you're seeing a lot of my templates because I'm in my Clay, but Clay's version looks like this. And then you can just drop in your company name. This is all of their logic. So it's right there in Clay, and you'll see the ability to use this and import it as an API. Once you do that, then I'm going to slow down a little bit here. You're going to want to, you can do two ways. You can save Signal Is here as an account. And to do that, it's going to ask you for the key value pairs, which are down here. Content type, application JSON, and then authorization bearer, and then your API key here, right? So that's how that works. And then it's a post, and then the endpoint is right here. All of this is the same that you would see in this API documentation. It's also going to preload if you pull it from Clay, right? So it makes it a little bit easier. And then we have a template as well in the help menu. So let's walk through how this works, right? So here what we have is a find people list. It could be companies, you don't have to have people. I'm just using people as an example. But you have to at least have a company name, and then it's nice, and I'd prefer, and you should prefer, to have a company domain because that makes sure there's no issues with having duplicates or the wrong company, but it's not required. And that's what this blue checkbox means, that it's not required. But you're going to input the company name, company domain, and you can see that's pulling from these rows here in Clay. And then the prompting is where the magic is. So I want to stress, like, we built this to not be like every other signal tool, right? Like, if you want to just find funding, then say, find recent examples of funding, make it simple. If you want to find detailed information, like I have in this prompt, then you're going to get detailed information back. And a prompt, I want you to think of prompt. This is like going into ChatGPT or Claude. If you want to add, thousand words, that's fine. If you want to say analyze our ICP, la la la, which is this, and then find this, la la la. The idea is that you want to give context, and then you want the tool to find signals that match that context, right? So it's built that way. Mine is find recent signals that define why and company name would want to use Signal is, right? So I'm trying to figure out like, hey, is there a reason why they'd want to use Signal is? Because if so, I'm going to reach out to them. The target signal count. So we charge 1 credit per signal. And then if your model cost for that signal goes above 1 cent, then we strap on the model cost as well. But most models that you can use, like the one I'm using here, Google Gemini Flash, you're not going to have to worry about that. You're going to be well less than you're going to have it's going to be just 1 cent per credit, right? Which when you see the output of this, I think you'll think that's a hell of a deal. So you can choose up to 10. I would say it's probably a lot. I would go with 3, 1, whatever works for you. Look back days is how far back you want to go. So do you want the signal to be within the last 90 days? You can do 180 days, whatever, right? And it's gonna filter down the signals to that time period. Look, enable deep research, deep signal layer, outreach intelligence, predictive intelligence. These are all things that we built to help with your outreach. You don't have to use them. They don't charge more money. They're just there, and you'll see in the output of the API why they're there. And then finally, I want to talk about the model. So we built this to use any model that essentially exists, right? And we do that through a tool called OpenRouter. So in your Signal is settings, you can come in and look at your AI models, right? And so these are the models that you can enable for your workspace. I'm going to build this in, but the other thing you can do is go to OpenRouter if you've never heard of it, and then just go to models, and you can see all of the models that are there in OpenRouter. So like here's GPT-5 5.4 mini. It just came out. I can use that model. I just got to copy it. You notice the naming conventions there. I copy it and I can come in and I can use that model if I want to. And I just paste that model there. And now it's going to use GPT. And that's where the kind of the model costing comes in, right? Because if you use Claude Opus 4.6, that's, that model is exponentially more expensive than maybe GPT 5.4 mini, right? So you're going to get a different output, different result. Because it's more powerful or less powerful, it has web search or it doesn't have web search. All the variables that define what make different models good for different things. And OpenRouter is pretty good about explaining that too. So if you kind of come in and look at GPT 5.4 mini here, it'll just tell you like what their capabilities are. And you can see just the cost difference, 75 to 450. Whereas if I just, go to Nano, for example, it's 20 cents and $1.25. So a lot different, from a cost perspective. So finally, I want to just show you some of the outputs real quick. So if I run this here, I'm going to save the changes. Keep in mind, you're not always going to get signals. So if you remember, I had 90 days as my parameter. That means that I didn't find signals for some of these companies, but in the last 90 days. That's okay. You don't want our tool making up data. Let's look at the outputs here. So very transparent about pricing. We show you, hey, we got 3 signals. This is the model cost. These are the credits you were charged. So 3 credits, 3 signals. You dive in. These are all news related signals. And you can see very specifically the types of signals. So new chief revenue officer, expansion into Asia. Let's see, AI Insights platform in December. So if you notice, we're sourcing every signal, right? So here's the signal right here is sourced. It's true for that. The other key thing I'll tell you is like in the summary, we have an executive summary. And then this is all that additional data, right? So key themes, outreach, how you should outreach to them, what's the strongest signal, conversation starters, why the signal is relevant. All of this is data that you can explicitly use in your outreach. And so, look, we're going to continue to build on this. I don't think there's anything like this on the market. Find signals for any company, any model you want. You control the costs. We have agencies using this, clients using it, and they're just telling us over and over again, like, there's nothing like this. And so that is why we built it this way. We think it's an important component. Just remember, you can do this in the MCP. You can do this in Claude, OpenAI, in your terminal. So hopefully this will be helpful to you. If you have any questions, just reach out to me and let me know, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.